Hey everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of the Scratch the Track podcast presented by the Dude and Grim Show and co-produced by IVEST. I am the Dude.
And I am Grim. And today we're going to discuss Disraeli Gears by Cream. Beautiful, beautiful cover art, which we'll get to in a moment.
We most certainly will.
So, released 2nd of November 1967.
Long time ago.
One thing, dude, and usually you talk numbers, but one thing, I believe this did a lot better in the United States than it did even in the UK. Is that correct?
Well, let me look. Yeah, I don't know. It did. Let me tell you what. You want to know where it really did a bang up job? Is Finland. Number one in Finland.
Yeah, yep. It got
number one in Australia.
Yeah. US top pop albums. Yeah. I was surprised because even in the in the UK, it currently stands as a gold album with 100,000 copies sold. And in the US, it stands as platinum for over 1 million sold. And I don't know what the actual numbers are, but I guess I'm just surprised that it did so much better in the United States than the UK. Now, granted, there is more people. I do get that.
Yeah, oh, that's wow. I never even thought about that, but that makes a lot of sense. It does.
Yeah, there is.
And, it makes sense. Sometimes it doesn't make dollars. So, dude, is this the first real supergroup?
I think they are generally considered as such, and not because any of the members, aside from maybe not even Clapton, they weren't like international, huge icons, but I think that they were famous in their respective country and music scene in their own right, so it was considered as such
in their neighborhood. Like
for sure.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, it's not like it was the Dirty Mac coming together.
No, it was not quite like the Dirty Mac, but what could be. Well, although Eric Clapton was in the Dirty Mac,
in the Bird.
Holy!
Oh, was he? Was he?
Yeah, dude. Wasn't he playing guitar? Keith Richards playing bass. John Lennon was playing rhythm and singing. I'm pretty sure, dude.
Well, because I'm pretty sure Jack. What's his name? Not Ginger Baker was playing drums, right?
No, it was Mitch Mitchell.
Mitchell. Mitch Mitchell. Ugh.
Yeah.
And I gotta catch up on my Dirty Mac. Dirty Mac. Anyways, look up the Dirty Mac.
Oh, dude.
Well, dude, Cream, man, like they came out of the scene, pretty hardcore. I mean, I think the record company Atlantic, like Fresh Cream, their first album didn't do, I think, as hot as they had hoped.
Yeah.
So when they recorded this one, I think they brought them to the US and they said, dude, they recorded this album in like 3 days. I mean, whoa.
Yeah, and that's kind of cool because you realize at that time, like, how minimal overdubs and that kind of shit was. I mean, not to say there wasn't overdubs, because you definitely listen to the song and you can hear like rhythm guitar being played the whole time and then Clapton soloing over the top very predominantly. But
right.
It's not like the music was based on overdubs. It was based on live performances that they could just knock out well. Yeah. And that's cool.
Well, and when you get three musicians together like that who are, really good musicians, they're able to do that, just to rip out those songs for playing them live, and you get your main parts down, and that's it. And, they're not the type of band, even though they were, a psychedelic, at least this album. Now, their first album was a little more bluesy and blues based, and this album does have elements of that, but this one definitely has the more psychedelic kind of feel and nuances to it.
Oh yeah.
And but even in that sense, it's not like Pink Floyd psychedelic, or even when Led Zeppelin would do
like
some psychedelic stuff.
Blues. And I was gonna talk about that because they brought the blues psychedelic, and people would argue that Zeppelin did the same thing. But I think with Led Zeppelin, it was harder and choppier, and Cream was
smoother. Yeah.
I mean, dude, it was like the name said. The name of the band really described to me like the feeling.
Definitely.
Of the music.
Well, I mean, we always joke about this, but Mickey Hart, I think, probably said it best when he asked Jerry. He was like, "Hey, is this the best band in the world?" And Jerry's, tonight they're the best band in the world. In all seriousness, though, that has been a fun joke for you and I over the years.
Oh, but I'm sure they were at that moment. Yeah. I mean, like, no question.
Well, and people who don't know, if you have access, I have it on DVD, which is awesome. I'm sure you can, find someplace to stream it. But if you watch VH1's documentary, The History of Rock and Roll, it's excellent. It's very well done. And in the 60s kind of version, they have a nice section about Cream for a few minutes. And it just really talks about the band and just how they kind of came out of nowhere. And they were very influential in the psychedelic scene and whatever in 67. I mean, dude, 67, man. Good year. Yeah, no kidding. And one thing that was interesting to me is I've always liked the cover art for the album. The album and not just the cover, which the cover is gorgeous in its own right, but the back as well. I mean, it's beautiful and weird and interesting album art. Eric Clapton had a fro at that time. There was a lot going on. But the gentleman who did the cover art, I guess, lived next to Eric. Yeah, he lived next to Eric Clapton, and coincidentally co-wrote a couple of the songs. I mean, a la Pete Brown. Holy crap! Yeah. Right? Dude, Tales of Brave Ulysses. I mean, that is one thing I find interesting about this time period. Is they're not the only band. There's a lot of other bands out there who kind of had guest writers come in and pen songs and everything, just very similar to Robert Hunter from the Grateful Dead. Yeah. It just wasn't uncommon where I feel like you get certain bands and people, they're kind of more egomaniacs and they're just it's their thing. We're going to do it. Yeah. But I could see that with the psychedelic kind of, theme, and you're that type of band. You can get people who are poets and who have like sort of a way with words and everything where it does work. It's much more of a collaborative process. So for sure. I thought that was funny how they did it. Grateful Dead's done it, and I'm sure plenty of other bands have done it too. So, and I guess one thing that I noticed that was different on this one. So basically on the first album, Fresh Cream, Jack Bruce, he sang the majority of the songs. Now on this one, it's Clapton sings on he either sings on a couple tracks, fully on a couple tracks, and then he's co-lead on a number of other. Dude, Ginger Baker's got a full song on this one.
Dude, I know, and that's actually, that might be my favorite song on the album. The jury's still out on that, but dude, I think Blue Condition is awesome. And it is just, and there's a interesting, if you did listen to the deluxe edition at all, there is a version of that song where Clapton is singing it too, but I don't like it as much as when Ginger Baker sings it.
That's cool, man. So check out that version.
Yeah.
And I'll say this, there is, we've talked about documentaries and we talked about the VH1, but there is an ultimate albums. So classic albums. So if anyone out there is like a really big fan, I think it's on Amazon Prime and you can just watch it for free. So check out the ultimate albums of Disraeli Gears. Good interviews with all the members of the bands. They're all still living. I don't know if they're living now, but when it was recorded, they're living.
I think Ginger Baker has passed on, but there's plenty of good interviews. Yeah.
Okay. Well, would you like to get into the tracks here, Mr. Graham?
Yeah, I think so. Ginger Baker passed on in October 19.
Right.
I would. There was one thing I wanted to say. We talked briefly about, or maybe a couple things, but we talked briefly about Martin Sharp, right, as co-writing these tracks. But one thing that I thought was really amazing is when they talk about how the album looks, and it has a really unique look in general, but for the time. But I guess Martin Sharp said that he wanted this album to look like the warm fluorescent sound, as he described it, that they played. And I think that description is so apt for the music, and the cover is like absolutely perfect for what it is.
No, 100%. It is one of those covers that kind of stands out. You know what? It also kind of like Are You Experienced by the Jimi Hendrix Experience.
Yeah, but this one even ones more. I mean, they're
bold, they're bright.
Oh like yeah, dude, it's like he only used the freaking highlighters from
Yeah. And
then the title Disraeli Gears. I always wondered about this title. But at least in the wiki article, they talk about it briefly, that it was Disraeli was the last name of one of the, I believe, prime ministers of England.
I think so, yeah. And they were...
Yeah, they were just talking about, like, Eric Clapton said he wanted to get, like, a racing bike. that would have had... not Disraeli, but derailleur gears, the derailleur setup. And the guy said that, who was talking to him, and that was, they thought it was funny, and that was that.
Yeah. So,
which I thought was interesting, because I would always listen, or not listen to the album, but read the title. And I'm like, I don't know this word. Is this an actual English word? Disraeli.
Yeah, I didn't. I always like the way it sounded. Like, oh, dude, Disraeli Gears. It's a cool title.
I do too,
it's
but I never really understood its significance. But it was really funny to read that and to kind of understand, I guess, what it meant, at least to them, and the fact that it was like a joke, because I could see doing the same, thing myself if I was in a band as awesome as Cream, which I've not been. But here nor there.
More was pretty good.
One more thing.
Just one more thing, Lieutenant.
So, produced by Felix Pappalardi. Now, Felix Pappalardi was also famous for being in the band Mountain, which I don't know if you know the song Mississippi Queen, perhaps, big 70s rock song. Yeah, so he was, I believe, the bass guitarist in Mountain, because Leslie West being the main guitarist. Now, I remembered hearing some weird story about Felix Pappalardi, like, dying in a bad way, and I thought that, like, he killed his wife and went to prison. But what happened was...
A la Phil Spector.
Yes. Well, and it wasn't even Phil Spector's wife. You got to listen to the, there's a good, not Disgraceland, but there's a whole nother thing called Blood on the Tracks, a good podcast about the Phil Spector thing. But Felix Pappalardi was actually killed by his wife in 1983 in their East Side Manhattan apartment. So I don't know what exactly happened with that, but I can tell you that Felix Pappalardi had his own pretty awesome music career as a producer. I mean, shit, he produced Disraeli Gears. That would really be enough right there. And being a bassist in, Mountain. So that was interesting to read.
Very interesting. That is. And dude, he also contributed. He helped write a few of the songs too. Yeah. Which was pretty crazy.
Well, and so I guess we'll get into the tracks, right? Strange Brew.
Strange Brew.
So did you listen to any of the bonus stuff? Well, there's a version of Strange Brew called Lodi Mama, which I believe was an Albert Collins song. Which you'll see Gail Collins credited as a writer on this one. And
in
apparently
relation to Judy Collins.
No. But apparently he learned to play that solo note for note. And like that's what was played in the song. And he eventually changed the lyrics from Lordy Mama. But yeah.
To Strange Brew.
Yeah, to Strange Brew. But I mean, it's interesting. And I think this I'll get into it in another song, but he has a very distinct guitar tone that comes out in this album.
Yeah, there's a few songs where it really does come out, and I mean, with this song, dude, it's a great way to start the album. I just feel like those guitar riffs, man. Like, I mean, obviously it's Clapton is God and all this stuff, but dude, this is before Clapton was God. This was pretty early on, man. And dude, just got some great riffs, and their vocals on this song, I really like how they blend together. I think I think they do a great job. Good. And I have to take that back. That was Albert King, not Albert Collins. That's pretty embarrassing. Oh, but anyways, that's right. Considering myself someone who knows something about the blues. So we go to Sunshine of Your Love. Now, to me, a lot of the songs on this album have this really thick guitar tone. Yeah.
This being one of them. So Clapton described this as the woman tone. I don't know why, but that was his Oh,
I know why. I'm just kidding. I don't.
Oh, okay. Dude, please tell me. But it was a pretty distinctive tone that he had, and it was only, I guess for him at least, available via a Gibson guitar. And I have a Gibson guitar back there, but I didn't bring it out and try to do the whole tone and everything because I realized that Eric Clapton can describe it much better than I ever could. So if you look on YouTube, you'll find a video called Eric Clapton and his Gibson SG, parentheses 1968. And in this video, he talks about his use of the wah-wah pedal, the sound that he gets from his custom, like psychedelic painted Gibson SG, and the woman tone, and how he gets the woman tone, but it's specific to a Gibson setup with the humbucking pickups and the way you can kind of do the switches and the knobs. And I think it's a pretty distinct sound throughout the album. I mean, you could really go between that and the wah. I mean, and I think the wah was relatively new at the time.
Yeah. I mean, it was probably him and Jimmy were probably the two biggest users of it, right? I mean, that you knew about anyways. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm sure it was probably expensive as hell to get one. Yeah, definitely. So, well, for me, anyways. I mean, this is probably my favorite song off the album. Sunshine of Your Love. Yeah. And I always associate it with Goodfellas because it's just got that. It's that scene where it's thick. Yeah, and it comes in and they do this kind of close up, this push in close up of De Niro. Well, he's got his Disraeli gears turning about like, I need to take that dude out. Like, and you can just tell, man, like, you know, some bad stuff's going to happen, but it just has this being co-written by Pete Brown. I mean, exactly. Totally. But this song has such a strength and such a presence that at least in Goodfellas, in that scene, it really I don't know, it just really adds a lot to it, and I've always loved that part. For sure. World of Pain, track number 3. Very different than the first two. Right? Like it's a much slower tempo, but I believe the guitar does kind of have that wah sound to it. Is that... sometimes I think he starts out just strumming it, but you're right. Then the strums become like the wahs, and I think it's interesting because the strumming pattern is not really typical of this era of music or like what they're playing. So it's really a distinct. And I always remember you joking around when we were younger listening to this, and he says, "Outside my window there is a tree." Is like the first lyrics, and you're like, I'll be damned. Yeah. Like, wow, who would have thought? Yeah. Well, and vocals, dude, a lot of falsetto in the song. Falsetto.
Jack Bruce,
Jack Bruce. I will say, I just spilled. I will say, again, I love the psychedelic era, and this is definitely a psychedelic album.
Oh yeah,
and there are some psychedelic lyrics that are, kind of, I don't know if I want to say silly, but a little silly at points where it's just like, okay, wow.
I get it. I get it.
Excuse me while I go outside and hug a tree.
Yeah.
Outside my window.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyways, so
then they go into Dance the Night Away. And this is the only instance of Clapton using a 12-string guitar, which I think sounds nice in that song.
Yeah.
But not one of the, I would say, heavier hitters on the album, so to speak, but
No, I mean, again, though, it has the psychedelic lyrics.
Oh yeah.
Build myself a castle high up in the clouds. There'll be skies outside my window. I mean, first there's trees, now there's skies. I mean, what's next?
Yeah.
Maybe a person climbing up a tree in the sky. But yeah,
maybe someone who's out there and they're just listening and watching and they're like, oh, I think I want to go ahead and
like, subscribe, and comment below.
Yeah. Do it. That's the beauty. The beauty part is you can't get to the next level. No, with a lot of the psychedelic stuff, you find a lot of surreal nature images in the lyrics, and it works, man. It's so great. I love that shit. I really do. Blue Condition, on the other hand, is cheesy. Blue Condition is not that.
No, it isn't. I think Blue Condition is like really kind of short and to the point, and Ginger Baker sings it, and I would say in a serious like Cockney accent, and I love it.
Oh yeah, dude, it is so English. It is crazy because look, if you listen to, I mean, anytime you listen to Bowie or the Beatles or the Stones or anything like that, the great thing about English, I don't know if it's a great thing, but the thing about English musicians is like their accent goes away. Like I'm just like, I can't hear it.
Until it doesn't.
Until it doesn't, and it doesn't here, right?
Yeah,
it really
and I
doesn't.
love it. I love it. I like the song too. It's just got a interesting kind of bounce to it.
The way I described it, it chugs along. That's the way I described it.
Does. And so that's a good time to flip the record because you get into a different, darker territory with Tales of Brave Ulysses. Some might call White Room Jr. I'm going to just call it Tales of Brave Ulysses because musically speaking, they are not that different. You have this descending bass line, and I think they also both might be in the key of D. I didn't really dig into that, but I think that may be. And if that was the case, I mean, damn, man, that's just like a continuation off of one.
Wow. Yeah, it's like going from Lord of the Rings 1
to Lord of the Rings 2.
or the Ring Part 1. Yeah. To the Ring Part 2.
But I do like the Tales of Brave Ulysses, and I like how it's...
Fuck.
To me, the lyrics actually make more sense than White Room because they're talking about, at least the tale of Ulysses, where in a White Room, I don't really know what the significance of the curtains and like all this other shit in the room have to do with anything.
Is it Ulysses S. Grant? No.
I think it actually is, yeah. And it's talking about how he won the war for the Union.
See, what this book presupposes is maybe he didn't. But dude, I mean, again, psychedelic lyrics. You rode upon a steamer to the violence of the sun. Whoa. That's
I'm pretty sure they were not on acid for that writing session.
Definitely.
But SWLABR, she walks like a bearded rainbow.
Bearded rainbow
stands for
dude. And here's
definitely a P. Brown joint. I mean, for sure.
Yeah. Way definitely for sure. But the rainbow has a beard. I mean, those lyrics always confuse me. And she has a mustache.
But the picture has a mustache.
The mustache. In the documentary, they actually go in depth a little bit and they interview Pete Brown, which is really cool. And they talk about some of these lyrics and things and what they mean.
Oh, do tell.
Well, I would love to tell, except here's the thing. I started watching the documentary. I was making all my notes. And then, dude, I lost them. And I didn't have enough time to redo my notes. So I don't know what all that means because I totally forgot.
Guess your dog must have ate him or something. Yeah.
They did. No, it's my note. But you can check it out on Amazon Prime after you're done watching this episode on the Dude Grim Show.
Yeah, and after you go ahead and
like, subscribe, and comment below.
Just do it.
Yeah, so
do it.
We go to We're Going Wrong. Really kind of slows down a little bit, and it's kind of a different chord progression. Now there is a version of We're Going Wrong on like the deluxe Disraeli Gears that I really like because it's just like Clapton's a little more. He doesn't just like strum the chords; he plays a little more aggressively, and it's just different. It's interesting to listen to. Because it's just different.
It's just different. The weird thing about this song is like the guitar and the drums are completely not in sync.
Well, I know, but that's one thing I was going to say, and I forgot to mention earlier. My apologies. That I really like about this album is the way that Ginger Baker is just hugging the toms all the time. I mean, he's
he really is, dude.
And I think it's really cool because it's just different.
So different. Yeah. With this, it's funny though, because the guitar's so slow, but then the drums so up tempo, man.
Yeah.
Well, Outside Woman Blues. Again, shocker, song is very blues driven.
Yep. The Woman Tone, one of my favorite songs on the album, maybe my favorite.
Woo! That's crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I love this one. I mean, it's got such a good riff to it. Either this or Take It Back, probably. Honestly, I mean, I think Take It Back's great, and I love when Jack Bruce goes into the like falsetto voice when he says, we'll save it for rainy day, take it back. I really like that.
Well, I think even with Take It Back. That's I like the song. There's a part of me that's like, I don't know if it fits with the album as much.
I could see
the harmonica is so predominant. It is. It's almost a little too much. I feel like, and it almost part of me was like, is that recorded live? Because I feel like there's a lot going on in the background where I hear like. Sounds like they're like in some club or some bar. Like,
I know what you mean. It's like it could have been, and then he just overdubbed the vocals or something.
Yeah, something like that. So
I don't know.
And then we wrap it up. I mean, it's always just wrap it up.
Mother's
Lament.
This is a weird and dark song, but I like it. It's just, I like it.
To me, it sounds like. There's just like a small group of drunk English guys, at some piano bar. I wouldn't even say a dive bar that happens to have a piano or something.
It's like ragtime or barbershop quartet. Yeah.
In Skokie, Illinois. I mean, it's, and it's very different than how this album starts with songs like Strange Brew and Sunshine of Your Love. So, it almost seems like it could be like a scene from a play.
Oh, I hear you. I hear you. Yeah, no doubt.
So,
well, with that said, I think you're on the tee, so I want to hear what your scratch would be.
Oh, got the D on the T. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to scratch Mother's Lament.
I kind of figured that. I'm not throwing out a WTF ITS.
Yeah. Again, like I appreciate the character of the song and the sort of, I don't know, just like having fun, whatnot.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It just I don't love it as much, because if I'm putting together like a psychedelic album or something, I feel like I want to have this like deepness to it, and this kind of, it does take me out of it a little bit. So that's me. All right, what do you got?
Well, dude, I'm scratching "We're Going Wrong."
Ooh, okay.
It's just
Why?
kind of boring to me. It's too slow. It doesn't change enough.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. It when I listen to it, something just seems off to me. It just does.
Yeah, it's just not my favorite song. I mean,
yeah,
it's fine, but I mean, I've skipped it when I've been listening to the album before.
Skip it.
So
no,
yeah,
I definitely do too. Definitely do too. So, all right, Cream Disraeli Gears has officially been scratched. What track would you guys scratch?
Yeah, please tell us.
Please let us know below after you
Like,
subscribe,
and comment below.
But other than that, I think that kind of wraps it up. We're our schedule's a little in flux right now, so we may not be putting these out as regularly as possible, but it doesn't mean they're not as good.
Yeah.
We're putting more time into them.
Yeah, exactly.
The quality. It's quality, not quantity.
Yeah, the quality is better. We put more time in so you can put less time out. Basically,
there you go.
That's pretty much it. So
I think that makes a lot of sense. All right.
Eric Clapton was in the Dirty Mac. Just
shit, he was.
Yeah.
Best band ever.
Hashtag never forget. So let's do that.
Never forget.
All right.
Time to go.
Dude and Grim Show.
Grim Show.
Scratch a Track is produced by the Dude and Grim. Additional music provided by Moore and the Tims. Copyright 2021. The Dude and Grim Show.